Hi there, I'm Tony Glynn and welcome to the PGG Wrightson Stud Tour. Now this week we're at Heriot in West Otago. We're catching up with Alan and Sonia Richardson here at Avalon Genetics. These guys are breeding Perindales, Texels and a new low input high performance breed called the Ultimate. It's a beautiful property. Let's go and have a look around. Alan Richardson, you're farming here near Heriot with your wife Sonia. Whereabouts exactly are we, Alan?
We're about 8 k's west of Heriot, up in the hills. Where just behind us here is the Spylor Valley, looking out into the White Cone. So the mountains behind us are about 4,500 feet.
Yeah, and the scale of the place here and the stock units here?
We're running, we've got 2 properties running about 1,300 hectares, running about 14,500 stock units. That's about 11.5 stock units the hectare. So yeah, we're reasonably well stocked up for this, the average around the area.
And the breeds on the place?
Perindale base, Perindale ewes, we've had them all the way through, and Angus cows.
So also you're organic now, Alan, and have been so for quite some time, is that right?
We have, yeah, we've been farming organically for the last 14 years, so you know we're in it for the long haul, and it's a way of farming. It's a different production system,
yeah.
And I think sometimes people get a wee bit carried away with the word organic. For us, it's a different farming production system, where there's some things we can do and some things we can't. At the end of the day, we're still farming, yeah. And the basics are still the same.
A lot of people still have a bad perception out there of organics and probably boo-hoo it a bit, and what do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's true, and sometimes that's through people seeing it as a threat. Other cases it may be the lack of information, I'm not sure, but I think it's about time to lay some of those stories to bed. Organics can be very productive. You know, we're turning out 18k lambs organically now. Yeah. If you take away the storms that we've had the last 2 years down here, 140% lambing, and at a stocking rate above the average around this area. So, you know, that's serious production, and look at some of the better farmers and see what they're doing. Yeah. Judge us on them. A
lot of theories out there, people might say about the organics.
Yeah.
That you just can't run the same amount of stock units, or, you know, cost you a fortune to actually even try it. What do you think?
I would certainly disagree with those, especially the stocking rate. We've maintained our stocking rate the whole way through during our conversion over these years, and it's now going up. And the other thing is, each year our production's going up too. Yeah. If this sort of farming is not sustainable, our production would be going down. And the grass that we've seen over the last couple of days, you know, it wouldn't be there. Yeah. So there's no reason why your organic farming can't be as productive, if not more productive, than conventional farming.
Yeah. And getting a good premium on those lambs for the organic side of things?
Yeah, we are. Look, we through Silver Fern Farms, we're getting $8 a k, and for a 3-year fixed contract. So that's serious money, yeah, in anyone's book. You know, to know what you're getting 3 years out, that's, yeah, pretty
have they got a preferred weight range there?
Yeah, they have. It's a 15k through to about a 23k.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's plenty of room there.
Yeah.
And when we started off organic farming, we were happy to get a 13.5k carcass. We're now probably going to average around 17.5, 18k's for the season. So, you know, we haven't reached our potential yet. We've been at it for 14 years, but we probably didn't take a great hit early on because we'd already been selecting for worm resistance in our sheep, and that's really how we got into organics. We had a sheep that could actually perform, yeah, without drenching. Yeah. And so there wasn't the drop off, and that's probably why some people do fall on their backsides organically, because they've got the wrong genetics. Yeah. They've got high input genetics that all of a sudden they go cold turkey, yeah, and the wheels fall off. And you know, luckily we didn't have to go through that.
Yeah. Now, about this, the worm resistance, tell us a little bit about what your program is there.
Yeah, we were, back in 1988, we were the third farmer in New Zealand to start testing for worm resistance. And it was new technology then, but back then we could see that an animal that didn't need to be drenched, there's something pretty special about that. Yeah. And that became part of our focus, production plus the worm resistance. And yeah, it's not a glamour job. Yeah. It's not the sort of thing you put in your CV, but it's worked for us, and we're now at the stage where we've got a highly resistant flock. Yeah. And allows us to farm organically and do it easily.
With all that work that you've done on the worm resistance, is there any tie up there with external parasites?
Yeah, there is. We believe that there is a crossover between the internal and the external. We don't dip here, and what we find is that our more resistant animals have also got less lice.
Yeah.
Part of that too is making sure they're fed well.
Yeah.
But no, lice for us is not an issue.
Now, I believe you're the only stud guy or farmer doing any work with the FE tolerance here in the South Island. Is that right?
That's right. There's certainly no facial eczema down here, Tony, but we do sell rams into the hot spots in the North Island.
Yeah.
And we've been doing the FE, the ram guard test for the last 10 years.
Yeah. And why?
Why? Because there is a tie-up between worm resistance again and facial eczema tolerance.
Yeah.
And it seems to be that the higher the worm resistance, the more tolerance they have.
Yeah.
It's not a straight line, but most of the individuals fall into that sort of category.
Yeah. Do you think we'll get it down here? Like it's come to Nelson, isn't it?
Well, the feel of the day-to-day we could.
Yeah.
But it may be one that gets you 1 year and 7 in Canterbury or something like that.
Yeah.
But 1 year and 7 would be enough, wouldn't it? So
yeah.
What we're doing is future-proofing our clients,
yeah.
production base, and it's part of that add-on of what we do for our clients.
Kim Robertson here at Lock Hill Farmlands. Whereabouts exactly are we, Kim?
Glen Murray, half an hour south Pukekohe, north of Hamilton, or an hour out of Auckland. So.
Nice big property here. How big is it?
It's about 7,500 acres, and we run about 42,000 stock units, depending on whether it rains or it doesn't.
Yeah.
Probably 50-50 sheep and beef. Put 10,500 ewes to the ram this year.
So now you've been working in a little bit with Alan Richardson there. Long way to go to buy rams.
Yeah, it is, yeah. But I hop on a big bird and you're down there in a couple of hours and hour in the car, so it's we're down and back in the 1 day normally.
Yeah.
We wanted to give the Perrendales a shot. We have a lot of problem here with death rate. Very humid in the summertime and early autumn.
Yeah.
So we wanted a sheep with a real tough constitution, and he's doing a lot of work on worms and resistance, that sort of thing. So trying not to drench as much.
Yeah.
And he's thinking outside the square, and he treats them pretty harshly, really.
Yeah.
He doesn't pamper them, which is what we like.
So what are the main sort of challenges you're facing in this area?
I think the eczema, of course, is the key thing, but people are doing some work on that, as Alan is, and but the other one is viral pneumonia, and they've tried to get vaccines and stuff, but it's pretty much, it changes, the virus changes each year, and it's bloody hard, and that gives us a hammering. And
yeah,
I think he's just breeding a good tough sheep, and I think that's helping us, and that's what we're sort of, with the road we're going down. We just want a tougher sheep is what we're aiming for.
Bit of history here, Alan.
Yeah, there is a bit of history. It's built in about the 1880s. The road just up here was the old road to the Waikato gold mine, so in its time it would have been a pretty flash sort of shack, I'd say.
Yeah, was this a sort of a stopover point before them?
Yeah, well, I guess so, yeah. But certainly not our ancestors, but good Scottish ancestry.
Your father was a fairly good farmer, they tell me, Alan?
Yeah, he was. He was a very successful conventional farmer in his day, and he was a guy that started with nothing. He was a city boy and got his first break onto a farm, and from that he did very well. He developed a low-cost system and Perrendale sheep, and developed and was able to purchase more. So yeah, he did very well in farming. He loved it. It was his passion. Yeah.
And what was his views on the organic side of things?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it actually put our relationship under a bit of pressure. But for him, organics, or what he thought of organics, was turning the clock back.
Yeah.
Whereas what we believed organics was a modern way of working with nature, but with the marketing edge. So it wasn't just about the production side. It was actually looking where those products were going.
Yeah. So you think you'd be fairly happy to see what you're doing now?
Yeah,
with the farmland.
Yeah, I think so. I hope that he'd be very proud. He passed away last year, but he's hopefully he would see, well, the production's still there. We're the next generation, and James is the generation after him. So it's about looking after the land and making sure that the next generation gets an opportunity, just like I did.
James Richardson, you've been working here at Avalon for quite a few years now. How old are you, James?
9.
You're 9, and you got into the sheep business yourself. How many ewes have you bought now?
20.
You bought 20 ewes. Yeah, and you paid for those with your wages.
Yep.
Well, that's not too bad. So what does Dad reckon about this, getting you into the studs?
He reckons it's pretty good. If I start early, I'll get heaps more experience.
So what school are you at, James?
Here at school.
A few kids down there?
Yep.
You're the only one down there that owns his own sheep?
Think so.
Yeah. Better sell them some chops at lunchtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what have you guys been up to today, James?
Me, Dad and Murray, we were putting colours on sheep's backs so we can find out which rams they go to, so to get the best ram to go with the best ewe.
Yeah.
So that they don't go, if they're like a sister, they don't go with their brother.
Yeah, you don't want that business going on, do you?
No.
So that's been keeping you busy for a few days here in the yards?
Yep.
So I saw a small line of not bad looking ewes heading away on a truck this morning. They're not off to the works, are they?
No, I'd hope not. Tony.
That's good.
They're heading down to Mount Linton station down there, 20 Texel ewes, and they're going to a top Texel ram down there.
Yep.
One of the issues I suppose we have with low input farming is there's very few genetics around the country that can actually come here and handle our environment. So we put them under a lot of pressure, and Mount Linton is probably one of the places where they can handle that sort of pressure when they come here. So it's good to get those genetics and hopefully get some good links, and also get a couple of good sires out of it.
You talk about it being challenging bringing the other stock here onto this place. Are we talking climate challenge-wise, or because she's fairly nice looking country, aren't you?
Yeah, it certainly is today. Look, it's the total package really. The number one challenge for a sheep is parasite challenge, and the fact that we're not drenching. None of our female stock get drenched at all throughout their lifetime now. So that puts a lot of challenge on an animal.
Yeah.
And probably when you look at some of the drier environments around the country, summer dry, that's tremendous stock health country, because the parasite challenge is a lot lower. So we get maximum challenges during the summer, autumn, when animals are supposed to be growing. And so animals that perform under those sort of challenges are doing really well. Growing but also fighting those parasites. So that's the issue that we have to farm with. And if we have a really dry season like some of the people in North Otago or Canterbury have most summers, that's when we have our best stock health, because the parasite challenge is taken away. So the animals that can perform here and have a really low feck under a high challenge and no dags under a high challenge, those animals will be dag free wherever they go.
And the ultimates, I don't know if I've heard of an ultimate.
An ultimate is a breed that we've developed over the years since 2004. We've worked with Dave Scobie at Ag Research a wee bit there, and it's a low input, high performance breed based around the Perindle and the Texel.
Yep.
It's got a wee bit of fin in there, and we've stabilised that, and it's a breed which we're really excited about.
Now you're testing for quite a few traits here, aren't you, Alan? What are some of the other things you're looking at?
Yeah, we're looking at the meat quality and obviously the meat yields, and that's so we've put animals through the CT scanners.
Yeah.
So we're taking it from that front, but also from the low input side. That's really been a focus for us, and by that DAG scores, we've been doing the DAG scores as long as we've done the effect sampling.
Yeah.
So that's really important. Why do farmers get out of farming? Probably one of the main reasons because they hate dagging sheep.
Yeah.
So, we want to attack that. But let's go further than that. Let's have a sheep that doesn't need drenched or dagged.
Yeah.
Or very rarely.
Yeah.
And so that's good. From the low input side, we're also starting to score our ultimate breed on tail length, because we're leaving the tails on them. So we want a short tail, we want a nice bare breech in all our animals, be it Texels, Perindles or ultimates. And the other thing is the belly wool, the points. There's no money in those. It takes a lot to shear them.
Yeah.
And let's take them out. Let's keep the fleece, but let's leave all those points behind.
Makes good sense. So it might take quite a few years, Alan, but do you think you might get to no tailing at all?
Oh, certainly. That's part of our vision, to have a flock that we don't need to tail. And tail length is very heritable. It's at 80%. If you compare that with selecting for fleece or growth rates at about 30% best, it's highly heritable, and so we can make real progress in that very quickly. I think what people remember is the long tailer that gets away at tailing time,
Yeah.
and it's got wool round it, right round the tail, and it's down to its ankles.
Yeah.
That's a hiding for nothing. There's no way that we're breeding something like that.
Yeah.
This has got no wool on the underside and very little wool on the top of the tail.
So let's throw it all in the mix there. We've got the no tails and the belly's gone, the FE tolerance, the whole deal that you're doing here. What are we ending up with?
We're ending up with an animal which we think's the future of the industry.
Phil Gray up here in North Canterbury. Whereabouts are we, Phil?
We're in Wire. It's about an hour and a half north of Christchurch and just over the hill from Hamner Springs.
Stock-wise, what are you running on the place here, Phil?
We've just got over 1,000 ewes, about 350 replacement ewe lambs, and we've got about 85 cattle, which we keep the progeny right through to finishing.
How long have you been working in with Alan there?
We would have been good 7 years.
Yeah.
Started off with some Perindale Texel crosses, and with Alan developing his ultimates, we're finding they fit the bill very well for us. Long term, we're looking for really easy care sheep, and try and have virtually no dags. Just keeps the fly issue down. It's even though we find the fly issue's really gone away really with these rams, and so yeah, long term it's a better proposition to have a clean lamb.
So you've been working with the sheep there with the short tails for a while. Obviously, if it didn't work for you, you would have whacked them off by now.